going to start off with the Cybertruck. Haha. One of our engineers was clever enough to model this up as soon as it came out. He took some pictures of it during the release and we modeled it in SolidWorks and then threw it into Cell so we could create some renders. So what's really cool about this is a SolidWorks file that's been uploaded to the Cell domain essentially, and we're able to vary the colors and configurations and whatnot, but rotating it and 360 spin it. We can even do things like, change the tires and change the colors if we had that set up. One of my favorites is just changing the glass to the broken glass. Haha, kind of funny, right? You can add little JPEGs in there, little pictures to kind of show that, it's broken. Oh, and I should say, if you guys have any questions, there's the chat, and you guys are free to, rapid fire away there. I'll be checking it periodically. We can cover some of those questions. So essentially, take your CAD file and make it a configurator online so that people can buy your product or preview it or customize it before they purchase it. So it's kind of cool. Another example here is the smoker. Now this one's a little more thorough. We got a couple different options on it. And you can see there's actually a rendering that's going on too to make it look, beautiful, a little snazzy. All that hard work you did on the engineering side, and then go ahead and throw it into the configurator side. Of course, we have our default views like front, top, and right, and then just rotating it with the click of a mouse, right? Left click, rotate. Allow your customers to view the product and then customize it before they purchase it. Something you might want to customize is like the paint of the smoker, so you can change it to like different powder coatings. You can change the table surface to different types of wood. And these are all things that we've specified that are variable in the product. And change the color of the lid, right, to match maybe some other appliances or just make your outdoor area look kind of cool. So on the SolidWorks cell side, this is kind of like what the structure looks like. So this is the barbecuer that we were just looking at, or the smoker. And I like walking you through the assembly process of this. So we have the main assembly, like top level assembly here, and all the different subcomponents that we can vary, and then the groups of those subcomponents. So if you just look at this flowchart, you can see that there's 4 different main components, and the lid component is comprised of 3 different components that would all get varied together. So the structure is pretty straightforward. We just got to loop it and link it into the SolidWorks cell side of things. So let's jump into SolidWorks now. I've made we had a little contest here at GoEngineer, and I made this little Lego character, and I thought, hey, Legos have tons of variation, right, and tons of customization. So I decided to make a little Lego character with different hats and different faces and different bodies. Here we're kind of showcasing the skeleton body and some skeleton arms, but I could unsuppress and resuppress things to kind of show more or different configurations of this guy. Now, there's lots of ways of going about importing this into, or lots of strategies rather, importing this into Cell. And what I figured out with this particular model, because I had so many different variations of the face, you can see all that information there on the front is essentially like 40 different faces overlapping. I just chose to show them all so I can import them as one body or one group. So once you have your model all figured out in SolidWorks and all the different either configurations or components that need to get varied, it's pretty straightforward, right? It might look a little messy because we have a lot of faces over the top, but that was just making my life easy on the import. So SolidWorks Cell is an add-in to SolidWorks. You go to your cog icon, hit the add-ins button, and you can turn on SolidWorks Cell. Where are you? SolidWorks Cell. There we go, SolidWorks Cell Publisher. And so once you turn that on, then you can choose to publish in the SolidWorks Cell tab this information to the web. Let's go ahead and do that now. So I click publish. I may have to log in. Oh, remember my login. And here you can see all the different templates that my colleagues have created. You might be able to find my Lego template in here too. Might be towards the bottom of the list. Oh, there it is, the Lego one. So I could choose to append to this list, or I could create a new one. We're going to start off by creating a new one here. So I'm going to say, hey, this is a new project. I want to upload this to the web, and create my configurator. So I'll start off with my new template, and this will allow me to grab different components and group them into different categories. Now these groups are used in that file structure, right? So I can grab maybe like, oh, maybe I want to have the body and the arms and the legs all be one group. Maybe the feet too, I don't know. And now those are one configurable component. And so I can add a new group and say, well, I want the head to be a configurable component. And I can grab maybe like the hat. This is like a Mickey Mouse hat, but I have a whole bunch of different hats. So we can grab the hat, and I can go ahead and grab some other components in here. Let's see, the lady hair, and sure, why not? I can go ahead and grab that guy and make that another group. And so now I have a variation of headwear, right, that I can group together inside of the publisher and have the user output different colors and or different configurations. So I might want to say, you could have a Mickey Mouse hat, but if you select a hat, you wouldn't be able to select like the female hair or a forward-facing hat or a backward-facing hat or so on. So once you go through and you set up all your groups and you click Publish, on the SOLIDWORKS cell side of things, this is what it'll look like. All my components brought in and published in. You can see there's quite a few different faces that I've made to kind of animate your little Lego character and make it customized. And then, all the different bodies and leg components and variations of those leg components. I even added like lightsabers and swords and stuff like that. Again, those were all in the assembly file. I was just only choosing to show some or another, right? But it's as simple as grabbing your bodies and then creating the groups. So the group structure has your variations you can have. So of the head group, right? You can see the body that I'm varying, and you can see the different combinations of colors that I want to select. So I have yellow, like a typical Lego, and then I have brown, and then taupe, wheat, and then black. And then same thing with the body. So these are the different bodies that I can vary, and then these are the different colors that I can choose to vary them by. Here I've even selected like a fabric so I can make it look like he's wearing clothes. And you trek through each one of these groups that you've created in the publish, and then you can specify how things are being changed. So, like here's the sword, here's another sword, and then here's the lightsaber, and then the different colors that you can have. So if we take a look at how this is mapped inside a SOLIDWORKS cell, we have the head is like the main component, and then all the things we can vary. Well, we can vary the face, we can vary the body, we can vary the legs. Oh wait, the legs are something else. This would be the hat wear, right? That either no hat or backwards hat, forward-facing hat, female head, and so on. And this varies the sword. So you can see there's like 4 categories that I can choose from here that could change, as well as the head can change colors. And hopefully this structure looks good. Now the body is a little bit more complicated because if you change the body, you want to change the arms and the feet and the legs all together, right? So you can see how that's kind of lumped up into one category, right? So slightly complex there, but the flow diagram should make that relatively straightforward. What's really great is that, when you're working through this process, you get a little preview window here, and you can kind of test it. So I can go to my body and I can select, different bodies, and then it would illustrate the different body and then change the color, and you can vary the color and so on. And head accessory, the forwards hat, the backwards hat, the beanie, the female hair, red, and then like the Mickey Mouse hat. So you can test these. Now what ends up happening is as you start varying things, you are essentially creating a different number of permutations that the user has to vary the product, which is really common, right? If you go to like Ford or Chevy or Honda, you go build a car, you could probably make 300 or 400 different cars, if you just stripes, no stripes, wheels, 20 inch, 19 inch, 18 inch, and then the style of wheel, and then the luxury package versus the sport package versus the race package versus the you fill in the blank. And so those are permutations. You can see over here I have over 1 million permutations of or combinations rather of variations to the Lego dude. And so what you can do is you can hit this preview button, which then loads this into what the user would see. And that's kind of like this. So when you hit the preview button, you can essentially start making your own Lego. So you can go to the head and say, oh, what color do you want it to be? Well, I want it to be yellow, like a traditional Lego dude. Cool. Now you can go to the body and you can select the different variations of the body. Here I have like the standard clothes one. I have a skeleton themed one. And you'll notice that the skeleton arms come in with the skeleton body and the skeleton legs come in with the arms and the body. So it's all linked together. So some really nice linking options you have. And then I also have a GoEngineer themed one with our little logo, a power logo right in the front, the GoEngineer bug. So you can click through these, and then you can go ahead and change, what color it is. Gray cotton, black plastic, green plastic, fabric, blue, what have you. Now the face thing is where I did spend a little bit of time making all of these individually. So that was kind of just fun learning that method. But then importing it was super easy, right? They were all lying on top of each other, so I literally just box selected all of them and then created the one group for them. It was a walk in the park. So even though it looks like there was a lot going on there, it was really easy to get this group together. You can change it to like the dude with the mustache or the, you know, gangster looking eyebrow missing, little slash in it, or the unsure one, or the scary crazy one, or the you know triple X. Oh, what's going on? Double X eyes, and I even made a mouse one, so that you could have some fun with this. Kids love it. Traditional, you know. So, and then you could change the color of those as well. You can imagine that you could just click through the different variations of that and kind of generate your own custom Lego. Off to the head accessories. I have one with none, which just doesn't include a file. I've just chosen to put the text there as none. But you can do the forward-facing hat, backward-facing hat, beanie, the female hair, and then change it to, blonde. Or you could do the Mickey Mouse hat and change it to, let's see, black. There you go. And then the last thing was like the sword accessories. You could do like a lightsaber. You could do some sort of recurve, a traditional, looking Lego sword, um, a little Nerf shooter that I got online. I thought that was kind of funny. It's bigger than the Lego piece. Of course, you can change the look of that, change the color of it if you wanted, or just nothing. Just have the Lego character all by himself. So once you got it kind of configured the way you want it, one neat feature is to take a render shot of this. So I've created a couple of them already, a couple different configurations of them, and you can save them, or you could create a new one. So if we just vary something here and change the color and maybe change the face, we can snap another picture. It sends it to the queue and does a dynamic render right here on the screen. And then you can look at this, with maybe some of the different textures and different colors that you created and ask the customer, like, hey, is this what you want? Is this the thing you wanted to buy today? It's like, yeah, that's exactly it. That thing looks really cool. And you can cycle through some of the other ones that I've rendered up here. But you can even see some of the different plastic textures. Some have more sheen and shine, and some of the cloth textures are a little more dull because they're meant to be, fabric-like. And so the idea here is that, once you build the configuration that you want as a customer, you can click buy, and then, they give you some money, and, they wait for their custom part to be made, which most people are willing to pay more for a custom part, and they don't mind waiting because it's just the one for them. Remember, there's over 1 million permutations of this, and, if someone's willing to, wait for it and pay for it, chances are, two people aren't going to make the same component. Now, it doesn't have to be a million, of course, but some products that fit the bucket really well here, like glasses, barbecuers seem to be really popular themes, sneakers, shoes, and we have a whole medley of different guitars. Here's a speaker. Here's like a tool chest. There's a car. There's a wagon or a trailer. Helmets. Even our 3D printers are in here to show different configurations of our 3D printers. Chairs, backpacks, watches, sneakers, and the list goes on. And so it's really cool to allow your customers to vary the product. Here's a treehouse. Let's look at that one. I haven't looked at this one yet. It looks kind of cool. We can go to our assembly here and kind of take a look at how it's built and how it's put together. And then here's the structure, right? The different things you can vary. And we can go and look at the different permutations of this and kind of build our own custom treehouse. Like, how cool would that be? That would make any kid super happy. Change the wood to satin or roof. Change the tree. Or we can change the platform. And so on. So it's kind of neat, super fun. And all that's required is to have a SOLIDWORKS file with all that information in it, right? All the components that you need to vary, that you want to vary, which you probably mostly already have. Let's see, do we have a question? Any questions so far? Go ahead and type them in the chat. Now, on the back end of this, how this works, and this is the great thing about it. This is one of the coolest things about it, in my opinion, is you don't have to learn how to code all this information into your website, right? This screen that we're looking at here, or this, user interface. So from, this left pane all the way over to the buy and then kind of down here on the right-hand side, all this information is generated in what we call an iframe. So an iframe is a very easy, simple way of passing information from, say, one site to another. So you can imagine that once you load this up on the cell server, right, all you have to do is call this iframe into your website. Now, what's great about that is you don't have to worry about managing updates or making sure your, ActiveX or HTML readers are up to date. You don't have to worry about updating plugins and it's going to break, or if it's not going to break. This simply just lives in your website. So call the iframe from your website, which points to this directory essentially, and your iframe lives on your website and it's all managed through the cell database, and there's nothing further essentially that you have to do, right? So once it's published here, it's essentially ready to go to wherever you want to point it. Hopefully that makes sense. SOLIDWORKS Cell does come in 3 different packages. There's like 3 different levels of packaging. One of them is a configurator just for communication. Another one is a configurator for e-commerce. And the third option is really a configurator that is designed to be mass marketed. So they essentially place you in that third category depending on how many clicks you get on your website for the product. Let's jump back here to the cell page here. The cell customize is the first category of the cell product line. You could essentially kind of label this as standard, pro, and premium, if you like. That's a very common theme inside of SOLIDWORKS. And this allows your customers to configure your parts, but doesn't necessarily incorporate the e-commerce side of things. So if e-commerce is really the way you want to go, then the next category up is your digital catalog. So we can click on this guy, and this essentially allows you to have like the buy it now functions. And then the last option there would be the full e-commerce setting, which doesn't really govern you on your picks and clicks there. And then here's kind of a theme of the glasses and creating different variations of the glasses. Great. So if there's any questions, that was the high-level overview of SolidWorks Cell. And a lot of the times, the next step in the cell process is to actually use one of your products or integrate one of your products, and we'll build it, put it on the web page. You can kind of pitch it to your team. You can test it out and see how you might vary it. Um, Obviously we would work with you with the SolidWorks files. NDAs of course could be signed, and we would help you build the structure so that you could put your own product here on the page and maybe test it on your website and kind of show you, how the components flow and move in the publishing process. So if there's any questions.